They somehow beat the Bucks with no Zach LaVine, no DeMar DeRozan. As you could tell, it's obviously the Chicago Bulls. So we will be dismantling the Chicago Bulls. So we each came up with trades to get rid of Zach, DeMar, and Alex Caruso. You know, I said before we started, make as many trades as you want if you want to put them all in the same trade, if you want to combine two of them in the same trade, if you want to do 3 separate trades, a 3-team trade, whatever you want to do, get creative with it. So this is how we will dismantle the Bulls. I'll get it started. I made a trade for Zach LaVine, and it was tough to trade these guys, all of them, honestly, to find partners for them. Zach LaVine, it came out yesterday that there's no market for him, which is crazy.
Insane to me.
Crazy. Yeah. I don't know how much I believe it. I think there has to be teams inquiring about him. There has to be some type of market for him.
Shit, I want him on my team.
I thought about a team that I think needs change more than any other team. If you look through the 30 teams in the NBA, there's one team that stands out amongst the rest in terms of they need some type of change, and that's the Detroit Pistons. So and they need the spacing. So I traded Zach LaVine to the Pistons, and in return, the Bulls get Jaden Ivey, James Wiseman, who's on an expiring, and Joe Harris, who's also on an expiring. It was to make the money work, and then they receive a first-round pick from the Pistons, maybe in 2027, maybe with some type of protection, and then they have a 2026 second via Minnesota, New York, New Orleans, or Portland. I guess there's some type of protections on it to determine whose pick it is. And then a 2027 second from the Pistons. So a first, 2 seconds, Ivy Wiseman, and Joe Harris. I think for the Bulls, you get a young guard with a promising future who clearly isn't wanted or needed by his current team. You get 2 guys on expiring contracts, and you get some picks. I think it's a win across the board for the Bulls. What do you guys think?
Yeah, for the Bulls, I think it's a win. I don't know about Detroit, man. I don't know that LaVine is in their timeline.
I feel like sending him to Detroit is kind of like
they have 2 wins. They're
I would feel bad for him if he got sent to Detroit.
It would be a Pistons thing to do though, like signing like when they got Blake Griffin back in the day,
I think I think they're desperate for some change. Obviously, they're the worst team in the NBA. They just brought in Monty Williams, made him the richest coach in NBA history. Clearly, Jaden Ivey, it's not working out with Jaden Ivey there. It's better to cut your losses earlier than later. While Jaden Ivey might be at the peak of his value. Like we don't know what Jaden Ivey's career is going to be. He's still a top 5 pick in his second year. Like his value is pretty high. And this draft class isn't that strong either. There's no Wembanyama, there's no Zion. It's not a year where it's like we must tank for this top 3 pick because there's a generational talent. There's not really any generational talents. So, and I'm not saying Zach LaVine makes the Pistons a playoff team, but why not go try and win a few more games? Like the culture is so bad there that the only fix is winning games. And I think Zach LaVine will help it. I'm not saying he makes them a playoff team, but does he give them a few more wins? Does he make them maybe a little bit better than the worst team in basketball?
Probably,
yeah. Does how many years are left on Zach's contract? Is it 2 or 3?
He has 4 years.
I think it's 2.
Oh, he extended?
Yeah, I think he has 4 years.
Yeah, so that's the thing too. Is like
let me double check.
Yeah, before I go in on
that. Zach LaVine has until 2026-2027 where he has a player option for $48 million. So we'll probably take that. So he is this year, next year, the year after that, and then he has a player option.
Yeah, I mean, if you're rebuilding, do you really want to be tied to that contract for the next 3, maybe 4 years? I don't know, man. I think I'd rather just.
I mean, who else are you paying?
Detroit could really like.
I guess that's true.
I don't think Detroit minds paying that for a guy like that.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess who else are they going to pay? Yeah, they have. good couple of years on their guys.
It's not a huge market to go and play in Detroit, especially since they're
Yeah, true. Yeah. Okay,
All
that's
right.
fair.
So the next trade I have is DeMar DeRozan getting traded, and I sent DeMar to the Knicks, and
interesting.
the only reason I did it was because I've heard the Knicks are amongst like potential suitors, but DeMar, I mean, if you want to talk about a guy where there might not be a market for him, like I just don't know what contending teams need DeMar's skill set.
Yeah.
And then when I look at the Knicks just have the assets to do a trade like this where it doesn't one, it you don't have to give up one of your better players, and two, it doesn't really like empty your asset pool in terms of picks. Like you'll still have a plethora of picks. So I have DeMar heading to the Knicks, and the Bulls getting Evan Fournier, DaQuan Jeffries, Jericho Sims, a top 10 protected 2024 pick from Detroit, and a second round pick in 2024 from Detroit. And
yeah, I saw. I'll go first because I'm the Knicks guy. I saw that report yesterday that he wants to go to the Knicks or the Heat, and I started thinking about it. And immediately, I was like, no, I don't want DeRozan. Why do I want DeRozan? But I was like, you know what? You might be able to get him for so cheap that even if he is on an expiring deal, you give up a bunch of assets that you don't really care about. Like you said, Fournier, Sims, DaQuan Jeffries, take those guys. 124 protected pick, take it. But DeMar just like, the more I see it, the less I like it. You know what I mean? Like it's just I don't know if what he offers is what the Knicks need. I know the Knicks do need a reliable scoring option, but they need spacing, they need shooting, and DeMar doesn't play a whole lot of defense either. So I don't know how Tibbs is going to feel about that.
yeah.
So I don't know how I feel about it on the Knicks side of things. On the Bulls side of things, I think you just like if you can get something for DeMar, you get it. It doesn't really matter what it is.
Yeah.
I
And
think it's as
then
simple as that.
my final trade, I sent Alex Caruso to the Sacramento Kings.
That
And in return, the Bulls get Davion Mitchell, who's fallen out of the rotation. He's still a young guard, still on a rookie contract. Kessler Edwards, who's on a cheap expiring, and then a 2025 first from the Kings.
That's kind of fire.
I love that.
Him to
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
I think that out of all the trades, like I really cooked on that one. I think Sacramento, you get a guy who does what Davion Mitchell was supposed to do for you, but actually does it at a good level, maybe even an elite level. Davion Mitchell hasn't been good, hence why he fell out of the rotation. You get a guy in Caruso who could space the floor at times, and we know what he brings defensively. In terms of the Bulls, I mean, you get another young guard and another first-round pick. So now you brought in Jaden Ivey and Davion Mitchell, and between the three trades I made, you brought in potentially three first-round picks. I mean, I don't know if it's the best trade packages we could get, but I think I'm okay with that. Restart. You add two young guys. You reset your picks now because we're done giving the Magic picks from the Vucevic trade, so we have all of our picks. You add three more. I mean, it's a good start to a rebuild. I think you've two young guards who have some promise.
For sure. Yeah, I would love that if I'm the Kings. They need any sort of defense they can get, and Alex Caruso is just a team. Alex Caruso is just a player that like just makes the energy on your team better because he does things that no one else wants to do, and he does them at a really high level. So I love Alex Caruso going to the Kings, and for the Bulls, I think there's a real market out there for Caruso. I saw a report like a couple days ago that he could get like a Drew Holiday type package, which I don't think that's true, but it shows that there is real hype around a Caruso trade.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What do you guys got?
So I don't have much. I have the first trade that I don't have a DeRozan trade because I just, like you said, I really don't know where he's going to go. But I have a Vucci Main trade. I think Vucci Main could go to. I'm stealing this off of Bleacher Report just so you guys know because I can't really come up with trades like that. But I got Vucci going to the Grizzlies for Luke Kennard, Zaire Williams, and a 29 protected pick. I think when you look at Vucevic, a lot of protected pick. I think when you look at Vucevic, there's a lot of I don't know that there's many teams that really need a center that can score, space the floor, and pass, but is as negative on defense as he's been. And he sometimes has good games on defense, but overall he's not very good on defense. But I think seeing as how the Grizzlies have Jaren Jackson Jr. starting at the 4 to protect the rim, I think it's a perfect fit for Vucevic. They need some help, and they don't have many wins either, but they are getting Ja Morant back, and that's going to change things. And I think Vucevic is a 1-2 with Ja, and pick and pop type situation. It'll obviously space the floor for Ja to get to the rim. So all the better.
Yeah, no, I think Vucevic in Memphis is actually a really good fit. Like you said, playing next to Jaren will only help him. He could space the floor for Ja. He sets hard, big screens. He'll rebound the ball, which Jaren, kind of lacks. He'll make up for that. Kind of do what Steven Adams does, maybe to a lesser extent in terms of the toughness in the defense, but also provide spacing that Adams does not provide.
Right.
I mean, if this team makes this trade and then gets Ja back simultaneously, like they might be able to make a push low key.
Yep. And on the Bulls side of things, you get a 29 protected first. You get Levine off your books, and you get Zaire Williams, who has shown he's a young, promising forward. He can definitely give you something. He's a cool player.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not
I
good.
don't know what happened to Soizy.
I was wondering why he was just staring for so long, but yeah, that makes sense.
What do you got?
I got one more. When I was thinking of Zach LaVine destinations, I think the only one that really made sense that I could come up with is the Warriors. I think they're a team that's not afraid to make that move. And I think
my team, Tom.
What? I stole your team? Yeah, my bad, bro. Let's see if I have a similar trade package. I have because I actually just read the report. They came out with it an hour ago that they are not looking to trade Klay Thompson. So that's out of there. So I got Chris Paul, Kuminga, and a 27 lottery protected first going to the Bulls for Zach LaVine. For the Bulls, I think you get a cool young prospect.
You snatched my offer, buddy.
Did I completely ripped it off the internet as well, but I completely ripped that off Bleacher Report as well. But I'll let you talk more about it then. But I just think the Warriors are a team that makes sense to make that move. They're not afraid to go get a guy like Zach, and I think he really opens up things for them. And they might not think they're done winning championships as the rest of us do. So the Shields, you can go more in depth on it.
All right, so Chris, I think it was you who mentioned it. Yeah, it was you who mentioned it. I was trying to come up with a trade for Vucevic, but I was trying to think and piece it together, like financials and stuff, but I didn't get that together. Here's what I did come up with. What I did come up with was a big ass trade that I feel like would be beneficial for both sides. I look at the Warriors. I feel like they are definitely feeling the loss of not having Poole there. Yeah, Jordan Poole is a headache. But also like the explosive scoring really supplemented just how far Klay has fallen. And I feel like in those short spurts last year when it was Poole and Klay together and they would lose games by a little bit or they would like win games, they kind of like convinced themselves that Klay was coming back to the same person. But the reality is he's not the same. And it was Poole doing a lot of the work, or if not doing a lot of the work, acting as a distraction on the floor where Klay was more open. So the trade that I have sends LaVine to the Warriors. It also dumps CP3. So I have Zach LaVine going to the Warriors, CP3 going to the Lakers, and then D'Lo, Kuminga, Max Christie, 2 firsts and 2 seconds going to the Bulls. D'Lo's on a very tradable contract. This past offseason, he signed a 2-year, I think it was 2-year 40. So very movable. I feel like CP3 is the exact kind of point guard that the Lakers need, have been looking for, a kind of guy that can really take some of the edge off of LeBron in terms of like the pacing. And I feel like CP3 is the kind of person that could really take advantage of that bench mob that the Lakers have and make them an even better team, because now Anthony Davis has 2 guys that he can run pick and roll with, which would really add a lot to the Lakers. I also think LaVine fulfills that flamethrower kind of role. A backcourt of LaVine and Curry would work wonders for the Warriors. And I feel like that type of haul that the Bulls would get for LaVine, that's like, honestly, that's really good. You get D'Lo there. He's there for like a year or two, and then he's gone. Kuminga is a nice young prospect that you can put in there at that power forward spot. Podziemski is not Podziemski. I had him there as an alternate to Max Christie. Max Christie coming in there, we haven't seen that much from him. He comes in there and works wonders. And then those firsts are the best. I feel like that's the best draft compensation that you're going to get for LaVine, all things considered.
Yeah.
The DeRozan one, I had some struggles with that as well. Like we mentioned before, hearing that there's not really like, yeah, he picked his teams that he wants, but like nobody's really biting the bait. I feel like a contender is like I feel like a contender is the best option. Like his skill set, his ability lines up with what a lot of other teams would like in terms of like a bridge scorer, but his age is what throws the whole thing off. I think he's like 34, 35 years old. I think the only team that he's can go for right now is a contender. And I feel like there's an obvious connection. It's where his former teammate is. It's a contending team. It's one of the destinations that he wanted to go to. And it's a team that has missed out on multiple big stars in the past couple of years due to their reluctance to pull the trigger. And now they can get a guy that can really surge for a discounted rate given how he's playing. So I have DeRozan going to the Miami Heat. Kyle Lowry is there. They missed out on Beal. They missed out on Dame. They missed out on Russell Westbrook a few years ago because they were reluctant to move a player in order to bring in a big star to really complete their superstar trio. Hero has shown his signs of being that third person sometimes, but he's also fallen off on some occasions. So the trade package that I have is Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, a first, and 2 seconds. I feel like that's the best that they could possibly get. The Bulls can't really capitalize too much on DeRozan because he's not playing that well. His contract is a lot of money and he's older. So I feel like this gives them a chance to get some serviceable players. Best case scenario will be off their books as soon as possible, get some small draft compensation in there and hope that they can get somebody nice. The first that I had, I went and did the research for the pick. It'd be a 2027 first. So, it's a couple years down the line. You don't know what you're going to get, but you might get something nice.
Yeah, you don't know where Miami will be at that point.
Yeah, at that point they might be falling apart, given out the age.
I think the Heat is the only team, in my opinion, that makes sense because, like I said, the Knicks, I struggle with the fit a little bit, but I think Miami is a team that's better off figuring out how he fits on the team rather than the Knicks. Because we've just seen Miami be able to make it work with what they have, and DeRozan would give them some
obvious fit.
Yeah, I think Miami's the only other fit.
Amazing.
They need
As a passer, he's shown ever since San Antonio, he's shown a lot of strides like a passer. I feel like in this situation, he wouldn't be playing out of position. On the Bulls, they've had him playing out of position like at power forward for long stretches. He should not be playing power forward. He's not good enough defender, nor is he big enough to be playing power forward. I feel like you put him on Miami, defensive responsibility goes off way down. Offensive responsibility just allows him to be himself. And playing next to Jimmy, you have two guys that can attack the mid-range, attack the rim with ease. That gives them a lot, and it just goes with what Miami's style of play is. And I feel
they already live in the mid-range.
The last thing I was going to say was that it's perfect for Jimmy because Jimmy is a person that slacks off in the regular season but turns it up in the playoffs. And DeRozan is the opposite. He's a person that comes in the regular season and turns up and falls off in the playoffs. So this allows the Heat to have a better seeding going in, so they don't have to play like great, crazy teams, and that will open up their playoff chances a lot.
Yeah, for sure. That was my other thing about the Knicks is I was like, if I have to watch Julius, RJ, and DeMar DeRozan all play like shit in the playoffs, it's not gonna be a fun experience. But Miami, they already make a living in the mid range with Bam, Jimmy, and even Hero. So DeRozan would just open that up even more. But I like that.
5 is great.
Can't wait for the Bulls to start selling everyone, man.
Yeah. Although I did see someone say that like the win against the Bucks, it feels like a Bulls thing to do to like cop out and be like, yo, maybe it can work this season. But no, they're not going to do that. They're going to blow it up.
No, I feel like that's more of an incentive to trade them.
Yeah.
Because we won without them.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
Let the kids play, man.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Let the kids play.
At the bare minimum, DeMar has to go. Like, you can keep LaVine for another year, like, see what the market looks like, especially, like, in the offseason next year when a lot of teams are like, okay, where do I want to go with this? Do I want to switch my stars? Do I want to become a contender? Like, we could easily see a team like Orlando decide this offseason that they don't want to wait with their young core of Anthony Black and all these guys and just be like, fuck it, Frank and Paolo are already good. Let's get a third shooter who's proven, and just decide to win. Like, that is something that Orlando could do. Orlando is a second destination that I had in mind for Levine, given how like lethargic the offense has been. The other package that I had for Levine was Levine for Cole Anthony, Anthony Black, and 2 seconds. And I feel like that's perfect. That perfectly lines up with what the Bulls are trying to do and perfectly lines up with what the Magic would need in order to make a little roll in the playoffs.
If we get Cole Anthony and Anthony Black, I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
I'd be hyped.
Yeah, because he's playing that well.
Yeah, just give me all the young talent and picks, man.
That's it. Yeah.
It's really simple. I know we might sound a little bit boring, but I mean, we've all known it's been time for the Bulls to blow it up since Lonzo Ball got injured. It's been time for the Bulls to blow it up. So that's why it's a little bit boring. But give me all the picks and young talent, man.
Yeah.